The UP ATS has arrested an employee of the Indian Embassy in Moscow for allegedly spying for Pakistan's intel agency ISI. He was arrested in Meerut. Now, the arrested individual has been identified as Satendra Siwal, who was apparently working as a multitasking staff member in the Ministry of External Affairs. So, a big arrest there that's been made by the UP ATS, having arrested an employee of the Indian Embassy in Moscow for allegedly spying for Pakistan's intel agency ISI. He was arrested in Meerut. The arrested individual, as we understand, has been identified as Satendra Siwal and was working as multitasking staff member in the Ministry of External Affairs. Let's go across to Shravan also, who's joining us on the phone line for more details on that. Shravan, big arrest there that's been made, ISI espionage network that seems to have been busted.
Well, in fact, Samiksha, the concerned individual was attached with the Moscow unit of the Indian Embassy. In fact, we're given to understand that there is a large, particularly the ISI is targeting those who are being motivated by the greed for money, and allegedly they were the ones who were passing on critical information concerning strategic activities. Now, what we do not know at this point in time, but is it only Satendra Siwal who was operating all by himself, or are there other people who are also involved in it? Because we are given to understand that Satendra Siwal was called to the ATS's field unit in Meerut for questioning. Now, following the questioning that took place, because he could not provide satisfactory answers, he eventually confessed to his involvement in spy activities, and he was thereafter arrested. But what's important to point out here is the very fact that whether at all this is just a lone wolf activity or there are other people part of it is something that the agencies would be looking into. What we are also being told is that a new modus operandi has emerged, and that is exactly what the UP ATS along with the other central agencies are also looking at, because in the last couple of months there has been an increased number of such arrests that have taken place, particularly from the border areas in Rajasthan too. And remember, these are arrests that have been made by the UP ATS as well as the other agencies. So having said that, the bigger focus right now is to basically look at whether at all there are more people involved in it.
Right. Shravan, just a quick follow-up question. Anything known so far as to for how long he'd been working with the Indian Embassy? Because as we understand, he was allegedly extracting confidential documents by exploiting his position within the Indian Embassy in Moscow.
Well, in fact, Samiksha, at this point in time, the exact period is not known. The UP ATS has just put out an information suggesting that they were tracking him for quite some time. And the arrested individual was actually working with the multitasking staff in the Ministry of External Affairs. So it isn't that he is a high senior official who has been, arrested by the UP ATS. But having said that, it is important to point out here is that they've been able to identify two things. One, the fact that certain sensitive information was actually passed on, that is with regards to the Indian Army. And secondly, there were certain financial incentives that were given to the concerned individual. But having said that, what we do not know at this point in time, Samiksha, is the period under which he was in surveillance.
Right. Shravan, thank you for those details. So that's, of course, a big news break that we are tracking. Espionage network that seems to have been busted. The UP ATS having arrested an employee of the Indian Embassy in Moscow on charges of spying for the ISI. The arrested has been identified as Satendra Siwal, who was working as a multitasking staff in the Ministry of External Affairs.